All right, Grand Rising Elizabeth. It is Passion and Purpose Friday, y'all. We have made it to the end of the weekdays and we love passion and purpose. I am your co-host, Lolly, and I'm here with my other co-host, Queen Aduni. She also is the founder of this whole thing. So tap in with her. All right, awesome. So, of course, for passion and purpose, we like to speak on passion and purpose. So, what are your passions and what is your purpose in life? And these things align together to really impact the entire world, but even on the micro scale, the people around us. So, today I wanted to highlight mental health. And mental health is such an important thing that sometimes we don't always consider. I'm appreciating that now in this new era, people are talking about it more. People are talking about therapy. People are talking about self-care. People are talking about reflection. People are talking about, the mental health issues that they have, whether that's anxiety or depression or, different disorders, whatever the case is. We're talking about it now, and I am grateful that we're creating a space within our communities to speak up about it and also pray about it, but speak up about it and really really do what we need to do on all levels: spiritually, medically, biologically, community. All of those come together to help us with our overall wellness. So with that being said, we have a special guest. I Just to give some background, I've met this young lady a few different times in different arenas. One time it was like photography for my family, which I'm like, okay, that's cool. And then another time, my sister had, most recently, my sister purchased this, a ticket to a self-defense class. And she was like, do you want to go? Because I'm not going to be able to go. And I'm like, okay, sure, I'll go. And of course, Tay was the one that put it together. But this self-defense class was so cool because it talked about the importance of self-defense, but it was so much more to it. Like self-defense, especially living anywhere, but living in an urban area, it's just good to feel that you're secure. It's good to lower your anxiety and know that, like, okay, in a crazy situation, I know what to do. So she is not a self-defense teacher. She just brought us there. But I said all that to say is that she curates spaces for people to really explore all the wellness pathways that there are. And I think that is really awesome, especially as someone who has a psychology background and is all for community wellness. So Tay is a mental health advocate and community wellness strategist. And if you give me a second, I'm about to read her bio, y'all. She is an amazing woman. Let me just say that, okay? Super awesome. And let's see here. All right. So Tay Lee is a dedicated mental health advocate and community wellness strategist, passionate about creating accessible spaces for healing, learning, and growth. Through her organization, Manifest 31, Tay leads impactful psychological well-being programming rooted in education, advocacy, and culturally relevant support. With dual master degrees in nonprofit public management and counseling from Central Michigan University and a bachelor's in organizational communication from Michigan State University, Tay brings both academic depth and a real-world experience to her work. Her programming includes workshops like Women to Women, Soul Shop for Churches, and the DWMYH Do What Makes You Healthy series, each designed to equip individuals and communities with tools to prioritize mental, physical, social wellness, and safety. With years of experience working in schools, nonprofits, and corporate social responsibility spaces, Tay is committed to breaking down stigma and fostering community resilience, one conversation, workshop, and moment of care at a time. Awesome. So y'all, let's give it up for Tay. Woo woo.
Wow, wow. I just want to say thank you for just holding space, not only in regards to the topic of mental health, but holding space for just us to be able to come together to uplift one another, learn about each other. So I just thank you both for founding Grand Rising Elizabeth and really putting a opportunity for women and individuals to really come together and know their worth. So I thank you both for all that you're doing. And I'm just continuing to put in that energy for continued success because I just know this is still, even though y'all been doing it, it's still so much more to come. So much more to come. Awesome, awesome.
Yes, thank you so much. So, we read your bio, but can you tell us about Manifest 31? First of all, I like the name, but but can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, and
Yes,
I know what the 31 meant.
yes. So, when I was 29 years old, this was right before the pandemic. I was talking to my mom, and I was like, I'm just not excited about 30. And she was like, what do you mean? She was like, I was like, I just keep feeling like I keep hearing the number 31. I really feel like 31 is going to be something significant. Like I just kept saying it to her and she was like, okay, I'm all for it. Just let me know. So I started to spend some time really trying to figure that out. And in the midst of that, both my parents end up getting sick. And my father was he was facing cancer. And my mother, she had to have her other foot amputated. So she was already had one foot amputated and she had to have another foot amputated. So that year of 30 became a time frame where it was a lot of stuff happening mentally, emotionally, and spiritually in our family. And I was just like, okay, something has to give. Like I don't know what's going on, but something has to give. So I started to look up the word manifest. And to manifest something means to have clear vision. And I was like, okay, have clear vision. And then 31 was an angel number that meant to have the action and the ability and courage to complete a task. So one of the things I started thinking is like, okay, we're about to start manifesting healing, manifesting conversation, manifesting the things that we want to do, but we have to have clear vision to see it, and we have to have the courage and ability to go after it. So during that time frame, both my parents, like I said, got really ill. I started to face a lot of psychological challenges as well, too, being a caregiver and also things that I was experiencing. So I started to do some research and I was having a really hard time in regards to not the type of resources, but the abundance of resources when you Googled looking for wellness resources or therapists. So I decided to put together a company or a wellness program that actually worked as a liaison to bring opportunities to individuals so they can manifest their dreams and healing at the same time. So could take out um, if we could take out having to go to all these different places to find the resources and be able to be connected to our resources, we could know that we could manifest our healing and our dreams at the same time. So Manifest 31 came from that place of being able to equip people with a clear vision to be able to then also equip them with the courage to actually execute those tasks, whatever those look like.
Cool. That's cool.
I like that. That is, you know what? You were onto something with that. I like that. I'm gonna watch this back and just
Hmm.
hear it again. Cause I'm like, yeah, I love that. I actually have a song called Manifest. And
Hmm.
it's just, yes, exactly. The one we listened to earlier. And yeah, I love that, having that clear vision of like, okay, this is for me and this is what's coming and I know it and I believe it and I'm walking into it. And so I
Yeah.
love that. So I know 30 was difficult, but shout out to 31. So
Yes. Yes.
amazing.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So now that we hear a little bit about Manifest 31, I noticed your logo has the semicolon in the end.
Mhm.
Can you tell us a little bit more about what that means?
Yes. So if anyone does not know, I actually have two tattoos. So I have one here and one on both sides. So if you do not know what the semicolon, it stands for something, it has a meaning besides a punctuation or in that characteristics. So if you see someone with a semicolon or they utilize a semicolon, especially if it's tattooed, it is a meaning that your story is not over. So it really represents in regards to mental health and mental wellness, as well as suicide prevention. So one of the things that was really powerful to me as a person that attempted suicide twice in their life is to be able to start sharing the importance of awareness around suicide prevention and mental health advocacy. So the reason why I added that into my logo was so people would know that their story is not over. Sometimes we face hardships and situations in life that sometimes we don't have, or we don't feel as though we have the control over, or these things that we didn't put ourselves in, we were either born into them or certain things happen to us systematically, but knowing that your story is not over. So I wanted people to know that M31, they can manifest their healing, they can manifest their visions, they can have those clear visions, and that their story is not over. So that's why you see it represented not only physically on me but also on my logo, as I am an advocate around suicide prevention, because it's just not something that's talked about in our communities as much. Like you stated, it's more, we're starting to get more comfortable talking about mental health. We're starting to get more comfortable prioritizing our mental health, but there are still certain things that we tend to shy away from or don't know or have the skill sets to feel like we can talk about it, especially openly. You're not as going to hear as much about someone that's going to talk about suicide as much in our communities, or even schizophrenia or bipolar disorder. We feel more comfortable talking about depression and anxiety now, but we're not going to talk about the other things that impact us as a culture as well too.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yes, definitely. So speaking of that, I know you spoke on your a little bit about your experience and the importance of the semicolon, but let's talk a little bit more about that. Like what was your journey in walking into this purpose? Kind of like what were some things that maybe pushed you into doing this work, or things that maybe inhibited you from doing this work? Just what is your journey to get to this point?
Yes. So, and just to be mindful, and I want to put this out there for anyone that may be experiencing thoughts of suicide or have a loved one that they are supporting, please know that there are resources out there. One of the resources is there is a line that you can contact and call, the 988 line, which you can text or call, which is the National Hotline for Suicide Prevention. I just want to put that out there, but I also want to be mindful if this is, or it gets to a place where this is a hard topic for you, please, by all means, take that moment for self. And if you need to get off video, or you need to cry, or you need to release, or you need to reach out to someone, do that for you. Because I will talk a little bit deeper about my experience, and I just want to hold space for anyone who may experience anything indirectly from what I'm talking about.
Thank
Um, think so. At 16, I I had amazing parents. They both passed away, but I had amazing parents that did the best that they could, and they were phenomenal, and we spoke all the time, and they loved on me. But I had this sense of desire of perfectionism in me, and that's something as a young Black woman where I wanted not just my grades to be high. I wanted to be a part of groups and functions and things of that not only made them proud, but made me feel as though that I was worthy. So my worth was connected to what I felt like I was tied to. And that was my grades, my social platforms, and just different things I was into at the age of 16. When those things I noticed, that also made me into, or I chose to be different in my interactions with people, including my grandmother. So my grandmother was going through Alzheimer's when I was around the age of 16. And um, during that time frame, I became very distant from her and focused on all the other things that I needed to focus on and thought I needed to focus on. And when she passed away, that grief and guilt that I took on from not being present in that time and trying to be perfect in all these other areas took on a whole different grief for me. So at the age of 16, I ended up writing her a letter apologizing. And I was so in a space of sadness and grief that I ended up um, cutting both my wrists severely, very deeply, and wrote a letter, to my parents. And at that moment, it was because I did not know how to express to my parents my emotions or where I was or why I was doing the things that I was doing in one way or the perfectionism that I felt like I had to live up to. I didn't know how to express that to them. And then the guilt I felt by not being present in her life put me in this downward spiral. So the best way I thought was just not being here anymore. And I felt that burden at the age of 16. I woke up in the hospital with my mother and father. And at that time, they didn't know necessarily how to go about it. And they had the choice with the doctors to say, do you want to have her stay in the hospital or do y'all want her to go home? And my parents decided to take me home. And they took it as a I was just in a place and that it was a phase and I would get through it. So we wrapped my wrists. I put on a long sleeve shirt and I went back to school that Monday. So that happened on a weekend. Saturday by Monday, I was back in school. They never told any of the teachers or administration. I just went back on with a smile on my face, leading different things in school like nothing ever happened. We never had a detailed conversation. I never went to therapy. It just went back to like nothing happened. And it wasn't because I think my parents didn't care. I think they just didn't know how to approach it or to talk to it about me, with me. So 2 years, 2 to 3 years passed. I ended up getting into Michigan State. I lead all these different organizations. I'm doing all these great things. And then while I'm in my going into my sophomore year, that summer from ninth grade to sophomore, my grandfather had passed away during that time frame. I'm trying to be the top notch at Michigan State. I'm in the same dorm room that my mom was in when she went there. Like all these things are just happening, and everybody know my name. And I'm just again, I'm grooving and grooving. I'm dating one of the most known guys on campus. Like I'm just moving and grooving, or at a place where I think like life is good, but then emotions start to happen again. I don't know how to express them. Everything that I had pushed down throughout the years started to rise up again when challenges started to happen. And I end up taking um, a bottle of pills at the age of 19 and throwing up. I ended up throwing up all of those pills and everything and was just going about as though nothing happened. Didn't tell nobody any of that. I ended up finding out 24 hours later that I was pregnant with my son, who is now 14. And at that moment, I realized that if God trusted me with this gift and he saw me worthy enough to carry this child, that how dare I keep trying to end my life because I'm not expressing my emotions or talking about what pain I'm feeling. I'm just hiding it. So finding out I was pregnant changed my life in regards to I started to seek out therapy on campus. And so what was that about? And it was free on campus. I started to be a part of these groups and communities where I didn't have to be perfect, but I was able to be exactly who I was and found out there was worth in self-loving all the things about myself. And at that time, my son was he's at everything with me, but it also allowed me to grow in understanding. There were so many more individuals like me that were subsiding a lot of their pain or a lot of their feelings or their emotions and just never had a space to talk about it. So it was at that time that I changed kind of like the trajectory of what I wanted to do, which was I knew that I wanted to go into community and I wanted to have a voice that helped other individuals to start having a voice and advocacy about what they were experiencing as a youth because that's really, really what it started from. It started from me not feeling as though I could say how I felt because I didn't want to make my parents feel bad or I didn't want to make others feel bad. So I would hide those emotions and then I would take out the pain on myself instead of feeling as though I could just openly have conversations. So just to fast forward through all of that, those are those experiences of suicide attempts. But it also made me realize that I was so much more worthy and able to help people by staying here, and utilizing my gifts to be able to help people be able to share where they were and not just share where they were, but then get the tools and resources that they needed. Um, and that became something that, and everything that I've done since college, I just kept doing. So I started a nonprofit organization that really focused with youth and really focused on teaching youth that were being bullied to really start advocating for each other and knowing what safety and how to advocate for one another and how to take confidence in themselves. And because I started to be open about me sharing about my suicidal experiences and the things that led to those suicidal experiences, more young people started to feel comfortable enough to share with me their experiences. And then not just those young people, then adults felt more comfortable sharing their experiences, even if they did not attempt suicide, the ideations or the feelings of what they were feeling. It wasn't just sometimes being sad. It was sometimes the trauma, the stress, the things that were causing depression or causing anxiety that was really on them. So that kind of been my trajectory throughout life from the age of 19 after having my son is to create spaces, especially in our Black and Brown communities, for people to start talking openly about what they're experiencing. Um, to tell somebody that I took a bottle of pills or that I cut my wrist, um, sometimes that can be taken back by people because it's like, well, you seem as though you have just this great life. You got all these degrees, you got all these things going for you, you doing all these things. Like, how are you in that place? Like, why was perfectionism so important, so much on hold on you that you went to that place? And it was like, just because you see me smiling or just because I want to say this and I really mean it. The way that they sometimes write what depression and things to look out in regards to suicide looks like is not what it looks like. I will walk into rooms with a smile on my face, able to accomplish tasks, laughing and joking, and then in college be in my room crying and not feeling enough. And I wanted to make sure that, especially with our Black and Brown, you're not going to see this the way they lay it out of what depression looks like or what suicidal triggers to look like for Black and Brown, especially Black and Brown women, is not always the case. It's not. It's not. So it was important to me to start speaking out about it more because I didn't want anyone, if I could help save one life, that mattered to me. If I, by sharing my story and being vulnerable and out loud, that mattered to me. And there's such an importance around it because a lot of people don't know, like our young people, even to this day, are dying by suicide in rates that are so much higher than our counterparts in other races. Our Black men are dying by suicide. Our Black women are dying by suicide, and we don't hear it. We don't hear the things going on. And the more that we start having these open conversations, that's needed. So just to kind of push forward a little bit, Manifest 31, because as you know, I do photography as well as you mentioned. Photography is what helped to save my life on top of going to therapy and all those things. Photography allowed me to see the beauty of life because I was able to utilize it to just go out and I'll start taking pictures of people laughing and families and the flowers. And I was able to just start taking pictures and then being able to look back on those pictures and feel the emotions. And when I became a therapist, one of the things I noticed is that we can go into the rooms with our therapist, and I'm all for therapy, but we spend an hour to 45 minutes to an hour. It's also what we do when we leave that keeps us on that mental health and well-being journey. What are our outlets and what are our environments? And when I thought about Manifest 31, I not only wanted to connect people to cultural responsive and responsible therapists, but I wanted to also connect people to opportunities that allow for that social well-being and that psychological well-being. You brought up the workshop in regards to self-defense. And it's like, okay, well, you did self-defense class as on the part of Manifest 31. What does that have to do with mental health? Well, let's talk about sometimes the anxiety we have, especially as Black women, when we are out alone in the community, and the anxiousness you have when you are coming home at night. One of the things he talked about, I've never thought about in regards to how long does it take me to get from my driveway to my house to open up the door. And in that time frame, could something happen in regards to that and having that safety mindset? So the more that we're able to talk about safety and the more that we're all able to talk about different things, we are able to then be able to say, okay, those things that are making me anxious, I'm actually addressing or facing. Those things that are putting me in places where a lot of times where depression comes into place is usually social factors, right? Like if I don't know how to manage money and I'm spending all my money or I'm in debt, those are the things that may lead to depression. But if we start putting workshops where we're teaching people how to manage their money and their wellness around it, then you'll start to see a decrease in depression and different factors of that nature and anxiety. So that's kind of where my purpose has been, is to do things that people need to learn to help address those mental health and wellness issues. I know that was really long. Y'all could have stopped me.
No, that was great.
Right. Well, and thanks for sharing such personal things in your life. And like you said, it's the not sharing that keeps us stuck and make us go even deeper into it, because we're trying to heal ourselves by not sharing and dealing with it ourselves. And I'll handle it, where instead of reaching out and speaking what your truth is, and knowing where. Have you heard of Sasha?
The organization, yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Places where you can go and freely share
Mm-hmm.
and in your life, along with anything else. Yeah. So yeah, thanks for feeling that and knowing that this is a safe space to do that. Yeah.
Mama Evelyn, you gonna ask a question?
Well, I want to share what happened Monday and what has been going on. My grandson, who is 13, has been going to therapy because he will say he wants to kill himself, or, you know, um, just really, I don't know whether it's just teenage stuff going on, the hormones, the ups and downs, the highs and lows. 1 minute he's talking normally, next thing he's hollering at you about, don't tell him several times to do something. So on Monday, he he went to school as normal, which it usually is hard to get him up on Mondays, but he got to school. And around 11 or 12, a friend came to drop something off, and he said, there are two police officers out here wanting to talk to someone in the house. So I came out and I said, what's going on? And they said, well, we got a suicide text from this address. I said, from this address? And I said, oh. what number is it? And it's my number, which my grandson uses, which I've had for a long time. So I went immediately and got his mother, and she doesn't do well in a crisis all the time. She like starts to cry and she like gets upset and trying to hold it together. So we realized he's in school, but nobody, only thing they called from school was, I'm sorry, I'm in the hospital. Um, but I'm sorry. Okay. Um, he called one of his friends a name. The friend got upset and cried, and then he felt bad that he made his friend cry, and he just said, "Oh, I just want to kill myself," and blah blah blah. And so he had made the phone call from school. Well, they didn't know anything about it, so Sheena called the school, alerted them, but he was in class doing fine. And then he has a counselor there that he talks to, and he also goes to counseling at another place for free. Um, and so, like, I've never dealt with this before, and his mother, has never like. I mean, she's had her issues, but it wasn't like this, or at least I didn't know about it. And I'm just wondering whether he's just being a teenager playing us because he's smart. He's very smart, or whether there's still something going on. But then there's also the element of his father, who his mother and father are not together. His father talking to him about his relationship with his present, soon to be ex fiance that he's moving out from, talking to him about his relationship with which is none of his son's issue. He shouldn't be talking to his son about that sort of stuff. So I am looking for every available um, resource to help us maneuver this, because I am clueless as to what to do other than you are brilliant, and just speaking positivity into him. So yeah, that's what I want to say. What happened Monday? This show is like so on point and so ready. So excuse me.
Is it okay if I speak, Lottie and Queen? Okay. So Miss Evelyn, one, I just want to thank you for sharing, um, and being an advocate in regards to just sharing about your grandson and the family. One thing I will always say, especially as a suicide prevention advocate, is take everything serious. If he says, even if it comes into just a little bit that maybe he could be playing with us because he's smart and things like that, still take everything serious that he says in regards to just, if anything in regards to saying I'm thinking about killing myself or I want to kill myself, take it seriously. And the reason why I say that is because we just don't know. And I rather we move in safety than we move and just kind of pushing it off and saying it's one thing. And I really commend you for um just being able to talk about it, but the emotional impact that is also having. So one of the organizations that I put in the chat, and I'm going to say it as well, and maybe Lolly or Queen can send them out, is calebskids.org. Caleb's Kids is a Detroit-based organization that truly specializes in supporting young people who have either experienced suicide attempts, suicide prevention, as well as mental health. I know that you shared that your grandson participates in therapy already. The one thing I really enjoy about Caleb's Kids is that they put on workshops for parents and programming for not just parents, but adults, guardians, that not only help in regards to helping you to know how to speak to your young person and how to support them, but they also provide like mindfulness moments for you too, where you can also learn how to release all the stress that is happening on you as well too. They also provide summer camps for free where the young people who may have experienced these different things are also able to go to a summer camp that teaches them in a fun way mental health techniques and skills, and opportunities, and they take them to different places. Because the one thing I've learned, especially with our young people, is that therapy, in addition to other community resources that make them feel seen and heard, helps them in so many ways. So Caleb's Kids is just one organization that I have worked with closely, that I know and can speak to. And that I just want to make sure you get that information. So it's calebskids.org. The founder of this organization name is Keisha, Kiesha Jackson. They are Detroit based. They are in a lot of our Detroit public schools as well too. But they provide fun engagement for our young people to learn suicide prevention and mental health. So I will really encourage you to check out that organization and to continue doing what you're doing. And I know that I can't say and personally, but I can only imagine the what is also taken on you, because now you're supporting your grandson and your daughter who may have struggles with dealing with crisis as well too. So I really feel as though this organization would be helpful for your whole entire family. So I really would encourage you to look into it. And I know for sure they're having a couple events coming up, for parents specifically. And that's for anyone. If you have a young person in your life, that's to definitely look up that organization.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I am going to actually sit on my daughter and make sure she watches this show. So Lolly, I need you to send it to me ASAP.
Yes, ma'am.
So that we can get on this. Hey boo.
What do they have? Hey, what do they have for you mentioning the young people about the adults, and especially with what's going on in the world, United States particularly, and how what's going on and shipping people out, and yesterday they just voted that he can send American citizens at his own whim, push them out of the United States. So it's like putting everybody on the edge. Well, so I know that that's for youth, and I was supposed, I know that you said that the parents and friends can also go, but is there something specific for adults? And if you could
Yes.
speak on that.
Yes, so I'm going to speak on a couple different ones, and this is why I founded Manifest 31, was to be able to be that connection, because there's so many resources out there, but sometimes people don't hear about them because they just don't. So being that person can help navigate that for people. So 988, which is the crisis hotline, it is not just a hotline in regards to if you're experiencing suicidal thoughts. It is also a hotline for resources as well too. And if you are in need of resources or have a loved one in need of resources, you can text or call that number. Now, I am going to be honest with you. There are sometimes, just like with any other, and they have really been striving to work with every person that is employed in the organization. But we know that sometimes in customer service, even in any type of customer service, mental health or not, sometimes you don't get the person who is having the best day. So with that, I also want to share with 988, if you get to a place where you feel as though that person is not being helpful, let them know you are not being helpful, hang up, call back, and get somebody else that can support you. Do Because a lot of times some people can feel discouraged or distracted, or no longer deterred by it. No, 988 is an amazing way to be connected to different resources. And if you don't get that person, hang up, get the person you need. AFSP, which is the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. There is a Michigan chapter, and then there are national chapters. Now, this is an organization that supports individuals in regards to adults as well as our young people. So it is an amazing organization that really promotes an advocacy around suicide prevention. It provides free educational a lot of times, where you can get, so it's safe talk training. So if you, I'm gonna give y'all a couple. So if you, hopefully you're writing this down or recording this, because I'm gonna give y'all some resources. So AFSP, which is the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, I put it in the chat. Um, they sometimes provide trainings for free where you can be trained on suicide prevention techniques and skills. So Safe Talk is one of them, as well as Assist. They provide free trainings that you can sometimes participate. So I provided that in there as well. AFSP.org also provides an opportunity for, let's say you have a loved one that has attempted suicide or has mental health challenges, you can also get connected to support groups as well in regards to into that support as well too. So I would look that up. Detroit wise, there are a couple different things I'm going to put in the chat. So again, if you need to rewatch this, and I'll also put my contact information for you as well too. So if you need any help getting connected to these resources, I'm happy to do. So Journey to Healing. So it's called Journey to Healing, is an organization in Detroit that provides not only workshops for adults, but they also provide groups for adults. They also provide therapy for adults and programming. They support with grief support too. So I know we talked a lot about suicide prevention, but they also provide grief support as well too. And grief is not, and I share this because it's so important. Grief is not just in regards to a loss of a loved one. Grief can come with a change of life situation, being a divorcee or getting divorced or widowed, or even a change of life situation. We can grieve those moments. So they supply groups in regards to that as well. So it's called Journey to Healing, an amazing organization that also provide therapy and group support as well too.
Yeah, Tay, I wanted to, in relation to it, it doesn't have to be a loss. When my salon, my first real salon, shut down, and I had to move back to my house, and
Mm-hmm.
I was putting everything up in, and creating the room and the space for the salon to be in my house. Ever so often, as I'm putting things up, I would just like, ah!
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I told my husband and my son, I just want y'all to know that I am not okay. So I would just scream it out and then go back to doing what I needed to do. So I get what you say. It's not just a loss of a loved one or a loss through death or through relationship.
Mm-hmm.
It is also, your daily job, and you love that, and you lose that or lose that space. And then it's important not to put a judgment on that. Ain't nothing.
Yes.
Whatever it is to that person, to yourself, it's real.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I would yell out, and then go back to what I was doing. But I did let my husband and my son know that I'm not okay with this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
No,
going,
this is good.
but I'm not okay. And so just if you hear me scream, just it's good. It's good for me.
Yes. No, I appreciate you sharing that because that is so important is that even when we are getting older and life happens, we can grieve our past self and who we were and the things that we're part of. So I just appreciate you sharing that as well too. The last resources I'm gonna share for adults specifically, I'm putting in the chat. I also put the link in the chat. It's called www.thevillageptw.com. It's in the chat. So I would encourage everyone to check out this organization. So what this organization does is they utilize wellness activities. So they currently have a Mom and Me fitness pop-up exercise day coming up where mothers are encouraged to bring their child to go work out with them.
Oh no.
Um, so I just put it in the chat and it's called the Village PTW. And they are a wellness organization that focus on putting in doing activities with people, especially adults, and incorporating that. So I put that in the chat as well too. I know I put a couple different things in there, but the reason why, and I just want to bring it back full circle, is that when it comes to our mental health and wellness, there's an abundance of things out there that we can participate in to help us get to that level. The the thing that we need the most is a community and accountability. And because we know therapy is important, we hear it all the time. We know that focusing on ourselves is important, and we hear that all the time, eating right, working out, all this stuff. But if we don't have a community that really encourages or supports it, we tend to kind of fall off. Not because we want to, but because life is happening so much that it just sometimes doesn't feel like we can make the time to do these things. But I want to encourage you not to do all the things, but do the one thing that makes you healthy. So do what makes you healthy. I'm pretty sure y'all heard the saying of do what makes you happy. So me and my husband have really been focusing more on not just doing what makes us healthy because sometimes, or happy, because sometimes what makes us happy is not healthy. It
Yeah.
doesn't, it doesn't push us forward, right? It doesn't place us in those places that we need to be in. But I want y'all to walk away today with the mindset of I'm going to start doing what makes me healthy. And sometimes what that looks like might mean going to the doctor that you've been avoiding on a certain situation. That might mean having the conversation with a family member that you have avoided and you haven't taken care of. That might mean looking at your finances and calling the companies that you've been avoiding on the calls when they've been calling you, like, oh, I'm not gonna click, I'm not gonna answer that. Right? Like doing what makes us healthy sometimes don't always feel good in the moment, but long term, it will help us in regards to our mental health and our wellness. The same times, they talk about if you go exercising and things like that and you keep doing it, you'll start to enjoy it. That's with everything else too. If you
Mhm.
start doing the things that you know you need to do, I can't tell you what's gonna make you healthy. You know what's gonna make you healthy. I got married August 8th of last year, and there are still things that I need to do to make sure I'm healthy to be healthy for our marriage. So that means facing some of the things that I didn't face, not just in regards to past situations, but that means looking at finances. That means looking at just different things that I did not do that I know is going to make me healthy. Going to the doctor, and checking on certain things I didn't know. Going to the dentist. I just went to the dentist and I had, y'all, I'm not gonna tell you, but I had a lot of work done on my teeth. And I didn't also realize like how much that impacted me emotionally and how much I took that out on my spouse and my family because of things that I was avoiding in regards to taking care of myself.
Mhm.
So I just want to end with saying that like do what makes you healthy, and that will lead to doing what makes you happy.
Ashe.
We have I know we're at the end. Lakeisha has a hand up and then we'll wrap after that.
I just want to say I really appreciate you, Miss Taylor, for coming on. Like it was, very enlightening because mental health is really, really important. And I like a lot of things that you said about community and accountability. So I just came back from a cruise, and that was one of the things that really um, it's been pressing on my heart because it's a lot of responsibility that we have. Like a lot of things that we go through is just so much bigger than us because God works through people. And so being working and branding, Madam Finance does come with a lot of responsibility because finances a lot of times is a big contributor to stress.
Mhm.
People not knowing what to do with their finances. They want to do better, but they don't know how to do it better. So one of my things was like, what can I do to make finance or make money fun?
Mhm.
I could see it like, making it interesting where it's fun. Doing my family, starting with my family and working. They're younger. They're like 18, 19, 22. How do you make it fun to where they want to participate, where they want to? So that's been one of the things that I'm really working on. on how to make it fun. And that is a contributor to stress. A major part is your finances. The bills, like you just said, calling the bill collectors, calling the student loans, like that is a big contributor. So I just really appreciate you sharing all of the different resources. I just, thank you for what you do, what all of us do. I just really commend Grand Rising Elizabeth because this is huge. Like we pretty much hit on all areas of your life, and we need to get the word out about Grand Rising Elizabeth, you know, because we do bring some powerful information that needs to be heard. And I thank you for contributing, Ms. Tay. Thank you.
I thank you for sharing, Ms. Keisha. Keisha is, like you said, it's so important, and there's so many factors that affect our mental health. And the more that we, as a community, like I am horrible at money. So let me get your contact information so we can talk about it, right? So you can help me some fun ways. I need some fun ways with my family, right? But that's what we need as a community to start doing things that helps us with our well-being and our mental health is to start holding each other accountable, bringing those resources that we have, like Miss Lolly and Miss Queen is doing right now, bringing that community by utilizing your gifts to help others. Um, I dropped in the chat my personal website, Manifest 31, that can connect you to these resources because I'm always happy to do that and be that liaison between. And then also my email address. In addition, I do have an event coming up May 22nd. This woman is called Woman to Woman. So Woman to Woman focuses on bringing women that are older, who we are looking for women in their 40s, 50s, and older to meet women that are in their 20s and younger and start to share their life experiences with them and be able to have an intimate gathering where women can start bringing that transparency to different cross-generational groups. So it's called Woman to Woman. It is on Eventbrite. I don't think I can get to it quick to drop it in the link, but it's on my website. But it's a way for women to come together and support one another, especially our younger women too. And what we'll see is that our younger I don't know if you ever heard like sometimes like you just want to listen, they doing their own thing, da, da, da. But I've seen a lot of younger women who are looking for guidance from women who can just share wisdom. Um, you know, I'm 34 years old and I hear a lot of people who are older talk about how no one talked to them about menopause. So now they're experiencing the consequences or situations of menopause, but never had those opportunities to talk about it. So would definitely love for y'all to attend. And I love Miss
We
Sharon.
have vendors and what is the time?
Yes, so it's gonna be May 22nd. It is so the way that I do things, it is not a vendor related. It is more like intimate dinner. So we meet like in a living room setting and we just kick it and chill. So, and it is I'm sorry, it's 5 to 8, and I'll put it in the chat. I'm going to find it. It's 5 to 8. And it's just women coming together in a living room setting, and we just drinking and eating and having conversation together, and just talking about womanhood, in a safe space. So I'm going to find that and put that in the chat.
Well, once Lolly gets it, she'll put it in our WhatsApp so that all of us can see it.
Awesome.
Hmm?
Awesome. Well, while you are getting that, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on today. This was, like we said, great timing with everything that's going on in the world, but also within our personal lives. And I'm glad that we're able to have these conversations. Thank you everyone who was on today. A couple people dropped off, but they were definitely here most of the time. And everyone who currently is here, Lakeisha, Mama Evelyn, Sharonda, and of course me and Queen. So yeah, thank y'all for being here and being open to the conversation. Sharonda, I saw you drop something in our chat. If you can put that in the WhatsApp too, that'd be cool. It's just some mental health workshop she threw in there. Um, And yeah, thank you, Tay, again. It just is wonderful to have this conversation with you. And we'll make sure to spread the word about what it is that Manifest 31 is doing. I think it's amazing. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank everyone. Truly grateful.
Yeah.
All right, let's give ourselves a big hug. Love on our own selves first and love on the world. Give them a big old hug and sprinkle wisdom and love and compassion, especially for our leadership, and safety for all. And I love you, and peace out. Great show, Lolly.